Hello and welcome back to the Hardworking Man Podcast. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Heath. And our daughter is evacuating Tampa as we speak for the hurricane that's coming in. And I'm pretty upset right now because she called me a little bit ago and she had a little fear in her voice, which you can expect. A 20-year-old on her own down in Florida with a hurricane coming right for her. She's in traffic trying to get out of Tampa and someone rear-ended her. She didn't know what to do, so I said, "Are you stuck in traffic?" And she's like, "Yes." I said, "Is the person who hit you still behind you?" And she's like, "Yes." I said, "Well, pull over, and they should pull over too because they hit you. And if they don't, get out and get a picture of their license plate." Well, as soon as she pulled over, instead of them pulling over, traffic started moving and the car took off. So she now has no information for the person who hit her. She doesn't think there's much damage to her car, but there is some, and she doesn't have full coverage. So without their information, there's really nothing that's going to be done about it. So she was pretty shooken up. Hopefully she gets out of there okay and nothing else happens and she gets to her friend's house, which is out of the path of the hurricane. But
yeah, she was already scared a bit because of having to evacuate. Like, you don't know. We don't live in hurricane area. This isn't anything that we're used to. And they just had the hurricane, which nothing happened in their area, just a little bit of rain. It didn't do anything. But so now they're calling for an even larger hurricane, and school was canceled. They closed campus for, I think, Monday through Wednesday. The hurricane's supposed to hit on Wednesday. So
Wednesday night.
That's canceled. And so her roommate is from Florida and lives up, I don't know, like north of Panama City,
Georgia,
closer
yeah.
to, I don't know if it's Georgia or Alabama. I'd have to look on a map. But they're inland more, so hopefully they're way out of the path. I know that's like quite a bit of ways from Tampa, but they said you're welcome to come and, evacuate to where we live. So she had to stay and work an extra day. She could have went yesterday on Sunday, but she's like, I have to work Monday because I can't work Wednesday, and then I might not be able to work Friday depending on what happens with the hurricane. Like, is there going to be as bad of damage as they're calling for or not? And so she's not in a position where she can afford to not go to work.
Right. Like if you work and you need the money from work, like when a hurricane comes through, besides the fact, the tragic loss of life, loss of stuff, homes, businesses, like this will affect people's lives forever when these storms come through. And that's something people that, like us, we're not in these storms. You don't realize this until you get to know people, and we know some people that were affected by the last hurricane through YouTube, and they didn't get to make it up to the Paul Bunyan Show that we were just at because they haven't had power for days. Dell from In the Backyard with Dell, he was going to go to the show and he wasn't able to. He's home taking care of his wife, taking care of his house because they haven't had power since the storm. And that's, he's one of the luckier ones that it's just power and maybe a little bit of damage, trees down that he has to worry about, where there's other people who are missing loved ones or their house is gone or their business is gone. Like, these things are tragic, and that just makes me even more mad that whoever hit my daughter, they're leaving everything behind. She packed what she could in her car and everything else that she has down in Florida. She doesn't know if it'll be there, and then someone hits her and doesn't have the decency to stop. Like, not just as a dad, but as a person, that ticks me off.
Yeah. No, I was worried about her, like, going through traffic to get for the evacuation. I mean, you see on TV, it's just bumper to bumper on the expressway. And I was like, make sure you have a full tank of gas.
Yeah, we had her go get gas yesterday. We wanted her to leave yesterday, but like Rachel said, she had to work today.
I'm like, pack water. Make sure you have lots of water in the car with you, and food, because who knows how long you're going to be
right. If
stuck.
you get stuck in traffic, it could, she should have plenty of time because it's now Monday night. And the hurricane's not supposed to be there till Wednesday night. So she should have plenty of time to get out of there, but you just never know.
Yeah, she said where she's going was like 3.5, 4 hours away
in normal traffic.
And she put it into her GPS and it said 6 hours. So it's already backed up that much. But she was going to try to bypass the interstate and, cut off and do the back roads way to get there. So hopefully that's smart. But that could be just as bad. That could be worse, having to...
Right. I mean, by the time you guys are hearing this podcast, we will already know if she made it there safely, which I think she will, and hopefully everything will be okay. But man, like, it's a different feeling as a parent when your only baby girl is down there.
I know. Like, I felt like, maybe I should have flew down there and drove with her somewhere just to make sure that she's good and safe.
I hope it's just one of those huge storm. Here it comes. It's going to be devastating, and then it just to nothing, or just some heavy rain or whatever. But
right, where they're just taking extra precautions that
not really looking like it right now.
End up not being so necessary. But yeah, hopefully, for the sake of everyone who's still dealing with storm damage and cleanup and trying to write everything back together, there's still plenty of people. Like I follow on Facebook at Anna Maria Island page, and I follow people on Instagram who like have houses there. That's where we've vacationed. And they're still like cleaning out
from the last hurricane.
From the last one.
It wasn't even a direct hit, and now a bigger, more powerful hurricane is coming. That's supposed to be a direct hit. It goes right over where my daughter was. So, well, yeah, where she was, because she's not there anymore. Just her stuff is in her ground level apartment. So,
I'm like, you have renter's insurance. Hopefully that covers something. But I mean, really, she doesn't have. That much.
I mean, it wouldn't be great, but it's not going to be as bad as a lot of people.
It would displace her, but
so.
It's not like she doesn't have that much to deal with. All the furniture is the apartments. It was a fully furnished apartment.
That was a good choice. It's looking like.
She just took her important belongings and her cat and
her brand new birthday present, little espresso maker that we got her. She's like, I'm not leaving that behind.
I'm taking my Nespresso with me. There's no way I'm leaving that.
But on a more positive note, I just mentioned it, the Paul Bunyan Show. We just got back from that yesterday, and what great weather. What a great time. Like, we met a lot of friends that we've made over the years. We met a lot of new people and a lot of fans of the show, which is, I love meeting you guys that watch the show when you come and you talk to us and you're like, hey, this video or that video. Or we had one couple tell us, that her husband retired and then he started watching our show and it motivated him to get out and work, and she says we saved his life. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's awesome. And I know exactly what she's talking about because we do a lot of outdoor work, firewood and, work in the woods and stuff like that. And when I watch other channels, it makes me want to go work. So I understand exactly what she was saying, and it's just cool to hear those stories because instead of just entertaining, and our goal is to help people, and we try to help people with ideas or motivation or whatever, and hearing something like that, that's pretty cool to hear.
Well, yeah, if we don't hear that feedback or see comments, we really are just talking to a camera all the time. So there's really not a lot of direct feedback. So you just hope that people are enjoying what you're putting out, and if you don't give us any feedback, we don't know.
But it is tough when you're at these shows. Like, we had a meet and greet at the Dyna booth from 10 a.m. until noon on Saturday. And we got there a little bit late because traffic was backed up a couple miles onto the expressway. We just got to the off-ramp and we were in a line of cars trying to get into the Paul Bunyan Show. But then when we get there, and you're talking to people and there's a line of people waiting to talk, you have to sort of, I guess, try to sort of manage it. And we don't ever tell anybody, all right, we got to move on. But we're like, oh man, these people are sitting here waiting and we just keep talking. You got to try to, I guess, move it along so you can meet more people and so that people aren't waiting forever to talk. So that gets a little difficult to manage, but it all went pretty well. We didn't run into too many people that are like me that talks forever.
Right. Heath always makes comments about people talk too much, or not anybody at the show, but oh, this guy's the talker. I was like, you're the talker. What do you mean? Yeah,
I'm responding to the too much talkers.
If you go to someone, he's like, oh man, I won't get out of there. That guy's a talker. I was like, yeah, what? He just gets talking just like you. He probably says the same thing about you and you leave. Oh, great. Here comes Heath. He's such a talker.
I do. When I get talking, I can talk, especially if it's about hunting or about something that I love. I'll just keep going.
Yeah, Heath's the guy that always doesn't want to go somewhere. And then once you get there, we're the last ones to leave.
But not this year at the Paul Bunyan Show. Friday Night Live and Saturday night, everyone hanging out. We got out of there both nights around midnight. And usually Rachel and I, like she said, were the last one of the last 2 or 3 people there. But this year, Saturday morning, we had to get to the show to get to the meet and greet in the morning. And it takes time to get up and get breakfast and get ready. And then Sunday morning, we had to leave early to get to my son's baseball game. We didn't get to go to the show Sunday, which we planned on, because my son texted us on Friday and said, hey, I'm starting pitcher on Sunday at noon against MSU. So we're like, well, we're not going to miss that. So we had to get up early both mornings. So I said, we can't drink too much, we can't stay up too late, or we're going to have a real rough next day. And so both days, we were responsible. I was able to rein Rachel in and keep her under control and get her in bed at a reasonable hour. But there were people up till 3 and 4 in the morning.
Yes.
And then still up the next morning to go to the show.
Like
and you could tell.
earlier than us. I don't even know how they live their life. I need a lot of sleep.
But then, like when we got home, I slept probably for the longest I've ever slept in my life. We got home, got unpacked, got a little bit of stuff done, and probably around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Rachel's like, I'm whipped. I wanted to go make a video. And we're like, let's just go take a little nap. Like,
but you were going to edit a video.
Yeah.
You weren't even going to make one. You said...
I was going to edit, and then I was hoping to make one too, but she's like, I'm going to go rest for a little bit. So I went up there, laid down in bed next to her, and then I was like, oh man, it's bright. So I got a little eye mask that I put on because I sleep during the day a lot because of my work. I put that on, and then I couldn't breathe very good because I was congested. So I put my sleep apnea machine on, and then I fell asleep. And then I woke up at probably around 8 or 9 o'clock, and Rachel was gone. And I got up and I walked out in the hallway and I said, Rachel, I'm going to bed.
I was like, I thought you were in bed.
I went and I got completely ready for bed, went to bed, and I didn't wake up until like 8 o'clock this morning. So I slept forever. I usually run on 2 to 6 hours of sleep, and I think I'm caught up now and recharged for the year, so I should be good to go.
You're forgetting about the time you slept in the car on our ride to the game, too.
That's not legal sleep, because when you have sleep apnea, if you don't have your machine, your eyes can be closed and you can be snoring, but you're not getting rest that your body needs, so it doesn't hardly count for anything.
I always have to drive. Every time we go anywhere, he drives for a little bit.
I drive for quite a while.
You drove for 2 out of the 5 hours.
That's almost half.
And you said, well, I'm just real tired. You're going to have to take over. I was like, I'm falling asleep. So I also
worked that morning on the way down.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I absolutely did.
Honey, this is Sunday. What does that have to do with the
Sunday.
Thursday?
On the way down, you drove a little bit.
I said on the way to the game on Sunday.
Oh,
I drove also. I drove at least halfway both times.
Because all weekend I had to manage you and me, so that was even more, like, it's tiring.
No, because you just rely on me for everything.
Well, I was falling asleep. I don't want to kill us both.
And you know what I did? I took a picture of you and I sent it to Patty and I said, look at my passenger princess. That was you.
That's slander.
These women all talk about being a passenger princess, but they just show up and they're just driven around.
It's not legal. You cannot take pictures of people when they're sleeping. That is a defenseless.
I said, that's this guy. He's my passenger princess. He'll drive for an hour, so it seems like you did a lot. And then he's like, I'm just so tired. You don't know my schedule. You don't live my life. And then I end up doing the brunt of the driving. And you also complain about my driving. Maybe you should quit.
You complain about my driving.
I know. It's bad.
Yours is bad. You were I had to red light. You were going to blow right through that.
I was not. Yes, I was looking ahead and I saw
it. You were throttling.
I was hitting the brake as you said red light.
No.
There was someone else who complained. I don't remember who it was. Someone at the hotel was talking about whoever drove them down. They're like, oh my gosh, they were terrible. I don't know. There were so many people there. We had such a good time at the hotel. So not only is the show a great time where, you're outdoors, walking around as all the machines going. Like, if that's your thing, this would be, like, right up your alley. They have little competitions the whole time. Like, there's lumberjack competitions going on at the main, what is that called? Like, the grandstand arena. And then there's, like, climbing up to, like, an 80-foot top of something, some logger.
Rope climbing. We're there for the people. Like,
there's a lot going on, and we just walk around, and we just went to a couple different booths, and if we saw you on the way or saw you at the booth, we stopped and chatted, and the next thing you know, the show's over.
But man, that takes it out of you. It's a different kind of tired than working tired. Like, I can go split firewood, work in the woods all day, but on your feet, talking in the sun all day, like, it's a different kind of tired.
Right. And then we stayed to the end of the show, and then we went back to the hotel, and we ate. We didn't go out for dinner either.
Once.
No, last time we went out, but this time I was like, I do not want to go sit.
Well, when you go out, so Friday when we stay till the end, and then you go out, the restaurants are all really busy, and there can be a 2+ hour wait. and then you don't know how long till you get your food. So then you're scrambling to get your food and eat and get back to the hotel in time for Friday Night Live that Dan puts on that starts at 8 o'clock. So the last 2 years, the first year we were scrambling to get down there on time for the show because Rachel was working on a real estate deal. We're always a little behind with packing and with knowing how long everything takes. So we were scrambling to get there. Then year 2, we did exactly what I just said before. We went out to eat after the show. It took a while to get our seat, and then our service was horrendously slow.
Very
we think
slow.
the waitress forgot to put our order in because people that got there after us had eaten and left before we even got our food. So then we were once again scrambling to get back to the hotel for Friday Night Live. Which, if you don't know what that is, Dan from Back 40 Firewood does a live stream every Friday night. And for the Paul Bunyan Show, he does it live from the Fairfield Inn in Cambridge, Ohio. And it's a riot.
So you get to be like,
In
watch the live stream live.
It's like being in a TV audience, watching the live, and people are brought up and, you know, you participate in it. But this year, I didn't want to be scrambling. So we just went, grabbed some fast food, well, Chipotle, so sort of semi-fast food. Went back to our room, ate, and then came down, and we were early to the show, hanging out with people. Because it's not just a show. It doesn't start at 8 and end at 9 or 10. It starts at 6, and it ends at 4 in the morning. Because it's just a hangout, just a good time, you know, meeting people, chatting. There were as many people outside as there were inside this year. And there were more people inside this year than I think we've ever had there before.
Yeah, no one counted, I don't think. I would be interested to see how many people actually were there.
But I would also be interested to see, because the very first year we went down was the first year Dan ever did this, and I didn't even think of this, but Rachel said
I remember that
at the end of the live stream, we all got in a group inside that lobby and took a picture, and there is no way everyone there this year would have fit in that lobby.
Yeah, I put on one of Kenny's beaver pelts, so we're all wearing those.
Yeah, Kenny, Chris and the Woodyard's brother brings beaver pelts, and we all had those. There's 4 times as many people there.
We
this
wouldn't have
year,
even
probably.
attempted to take a picture last year or this year, if that
No,
tells
last
you.
year it was a lot bigger too, but this year was the biggest ever, I think. And there were a lot of people that weren't there, whether it was for health reasons, weather reasons with the hurricane, or, you know, financial reasons. Some people just couldn't swing it this year. If you weren't there, there was a lot of people we talked about that we missed. And if you want to make it next year, hopefully you can, because it's a good time.
Yeah, and it really did. Everyone just took over that hotel. I don't think anybody staying there really wasn't part of the show.
Because that show was louder than it's ever been, and there weren't complaints or anything that I know of, because the people that there, if you weren't part of the show, you understood why it was there, and it was all part of the Paul Bunyan experience, so it just is what it is, I think. So.
Well, shoot, I mean, outside, it had to be noisy for everyone that was out there.
Yeah, because we talked to some people that had a room that weren't at the Friday Night Live, but they're like, oh, my room was above the fire pit, and it was loud all night, but they understood what it was, and so it's just part of the experience. And then we talked to someone else when we were at the Paul Bunyan Show on Saturday, and they're like, oh my gosh, we checked into the Fairfield in Cambridge, Ohio last night, and there was a huge party going on in the lobby. We didn't know what was happening, but that was the live stream again.
I know.
So.
I kind of wonder, though, like, what made them... How'd they get a room there, first of all?
Yeah, because it fills up fast.
Because it fills up fast.
It opens up like 10 months prior to the date, and you got to jump on it.
If they hadn't, like, known to book ahead of time, like, how far ahead did they book? Because it was, I mean, people had tried it, like, that place is full, and they had to go to different places.
And the rates went way up closer to the show.
Yes, it was like $500 a night.
Yeah, and we got all 3 nights for $300.
No, $500.
Oh, our bill said 300 and something.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Maybe we got a deal. Or maybe we paid part of it before and part of it now.
No, I didn't do a deposit, so that's awesome.
Or maybe I read the bill wrong.
Maybe you read the bill wrong.
Could be.
I thought it was $500 for 3 nights, which I was irritated, because to me that's still too much a night for a hotel bed.
Yeah, but when people told me it was up to $500 a night, that was crazy.
Yeah, there's no way. But there's not. I mean, there are a few options of places to stay, and we're not like right next to the Paul Bunyan, like the fairgrounds themselves. Like, it's a good,
right,
it's like 15-minute drive.
It's where the Back 40 Live is. So.
Yeah, that's where everybody's hanging out.
But I will say one thing was pretty cool. So Saturday night, we all got back from the show. Don Scheib from Outside with Scheib ordered 10 pizzas, you know, for everyone to eat. That was just hanging out. And, you know, we and a couple other people threw him some money. And then while we were out in the parking lot, just in a big group talking, hanging out, and waiting for the pizzas, somebody came up And that morning they were looking for firewood processors on YouTube, and our video came up. And so we said, we'll be at the Dyna booth. We're going to be at the Fairfield Inn in Cambridge, Ohio.
If you want a free t-shirt.
He had never seen our show before, but it came up in his feed, and he watched it. So he drove to the Fairfield Inn in Cambridge, Ohio.
That night. They're like, I'll go to the show tomorrow.
Yeah, and then he saw a group of people in the parking lot, and he walked up, and he said, hey, it's a long shot, but any chance hardworking man is here.
And I heard that. I was talking to, like, facing the other way, and I heard this hardworking man here, and I turned and looked, and then I was like, are you looking for hardworking man? And he's like, yeah. Like, he didn't know who I was because he doesn't watch the channel at all. He just happened upon the processor video. I think he watched is one that you did by yourself because I wasn't home.
Yeah, and when I said that we'll be at the Dyna booth and that we'll be there.
Yeah.
And just to come by and talk. Well, I didn't realize when I'm in a group, I can't hear very good. I have to focus on whoever I'm talking to. So anything happening around me, I don't know. So he came up and talked to Rachel. Like,
I just asked him what he was there for and stuff. And then he's like, yeah, what are the chances hardworking man's here? I'm like, well, he's right here. And he's like, no way.
Yeah, and then Rachel got my attention. And I feel bad because I didn't understand what was happening. So I'm like, hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you. I was like, man, I would get you a shirt. All I have left is 2X, and he wasn't a 2X. He's like, no big deal. But then he just sort of left, and I wish I would have talked to him a little bit more, but it didn't hit me till later, like what
you didn't
was
quite
happening,
understand.
I guess.
Like I saw, you get this look on your face when you don't quite understand what's being said, and that's why I tried to like, okay, he watched this show today, and like go through the whole thing for you, so you would at least know like a little background as to who this guy is.
Yeah,
and then
but
you
then
were
after
like,
later,
okay.
I was like, man, this guy drove here to see me, and I didn't ignore him, but I didn't like, be like, oh, hey, do you have any questions or whatever, So I felt bad about that, but sometimes, I guess I shouldn't feel bad because my brain is my brain and it works how it works, but
He just was
I wasn't
confused.
I wasn't rude, but I wasn't purposely not engaging.
No, and I guess it's because at the show, like when you're walking around the fairgrounds, there's a lot of people we do not know that are there. And at the hotel, for the most part,
we know a lot of the people, or we get to know them over the weekend. So
yeah, like if we haven't met you in person, then we've met you by Saturday night for sure. So everyone that's in that circle, we knew who everyone was.
Yeah, so at the show, you're prepared for people to come up that you don't know and start talking to you. And at the hotel, I just wasn't ready for it. It was just
during the Friday Night Live, yes, I had a lot of people that I met for the first time. I, in fact, FaceTimed with somebody's wife who watches the show from Texas, and they're like, my wife loves you because you're real. You actually do the work. Like, she'll watch these other shows and see these women, like, they like put them out there like they feel like they're not actually doing the work. And so she's like, look at this girl. She's out there actually running the machines, moving the logs. Like, I love it. So he goes, like, he called his wife and was telling him, like, you're not going to believe who I'm talking to right now. And then,
which is crazy funny.
And then he's
like,
it. Do you care if I FaceTime? Can I FaceTime her? I was like, that's fine. But he had, like, connection issues for a minute. And then finally he, like, pops it up and he's like, look who I'm with. It's just, I don't know.
But we have a great time meeting people and hearing the stories and what videos they've watched or what brought them to our channel and stuff like that. And like one couple, they were like, my husband retired and he just was sitting there doing nothing. And then he found your channel and he started watching it and it motivated him to go work. And she says we saved his life, which I don't know about that. But I understand what she's saying because when I watch other people's videos doing firewood or whatever, it makes me want to get out there and do it. So it does make sense. But we're always just talking to a camera. We're with each other. So when we get that feedback or when you guys comment on our videos or our podcast, like that interaction is, the feedback that we need and that we get and that we love. So
as far as we know, there's nobody watching, just we're talking to a camera. So to comment, let us know when we see you in person or anything. It's like, okay, there's real people behind the camera. Or even we can see views, but views aren't people. Right. Views are not interaction. So I don't care if it says 60,000 people viewed it. Like, okay, did you like it? What, like any feedback, anything, it just makes it real and it makes, who we're making the videos for.
And then when you guys comment, then when I meet you in person, if you comment a lot, then I recognize your name, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, that's you, because we don't get to see you. So that's also cool. And some people watch and don't comment, and that's fine too. But when you comment a lot, and then we get, it's sort of like we get to know you as well. And then when we meet you and you say your name, and then it clicks, and we're like, oh yeah, you did this, or you got
oh,
this,
yeah.
or whatever. So that's it's just cool to sort of, I guess, put all the pieces together. So
Yeah, no, it makes what we are doing seem more like beneficial or real or purposeful when we can like meet and see who's watching our videos.
right, especially when people are like, you helped me, do this differently, or we got a lot of comments on our IBC totes like, oh my gosh, I watch your videos and now I'm doing that way and it works so much better than anything I was ever doing, or whatever it is, you helped me decide what log splitter to get, and I love it. We just love helping people, and I didn't even think of the helping people by motivating them, so that's even another cool way, I guess, that we can help people without even realizing it.
Yeah,
so.
it does. I sometimes, if I'm feeling like really lazy, I'll start watching people doing workout videos, or not videos necessarily, just like when they record clips of them at the gym. I'll be like, all right, I gotta watch some Instagram of people working out because I need to get my butt up and get busy, and that does motivate me. I'm like, okay, let's go. So I can see that. That's fun. But she said because he retired, so
Right.
when you retire, you need to have a plan.
Yeah, you need to keep busy. Like
You
when I
can't-
retire, I'll probably be busier than I ever was working. And my dad was the same way. He retired and he was busier retired than he was when he had his job, because then you can do all the stuff you've wanted to do for years and do it full time. And when you're doing something you enjoy, you tend to do it more. So I can't wait to retire, but I'll never stop moving, I don't think. Well,
No.
one day I'll stop moving. But.
Well, we kind of have a plan. So, it's like a lot of times people retire. Now they don't know what to do with themselves. And they just, first you want to like take some time to relax finally and not have to do a schedule. Well, I'm not saying you.
I know, I'm saying me. I ain't going to relax.
The only time you relax is when you're sleeping.
I don't even then. I grind my teeth.
Yeah. Well, maybe
it drives me nuts to sit down and do anything. Like, I don't vacation well. Rachel says that all the time. When we go on vacation, even at the Paul Bunyan Show, I love it. I love being there. Like, and we were busy the whole time. The only time we weren't busy was when we were sleeping. And the whole time I'm like, if I was at home, I got this to get done and that to get done and this to get done. Like, I don't know. I know I'm not the only one like that, but I wish I could turn it off sometimes, but it's hard to.
Always thinking about what else you could be doing.
And then I never get anything done. I don't understand how it works. We got some stuff done today, though. We got a video shot on something that we've been trying to do for about a year now. Hopefully we can keep on top of it and finish it out.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's a lot of projects. I guess as long as you have some projects going, you'll never be bored.
I did. Hopefully we had a leak on our flat roof, and I patched where the leak was coming through, and that didn't help at all. So I went backwards, and I found our flashing to our chimney had a couple of cracks in it. So I redid that whole flashing and patched that up today. So now I need it to rain to see if my patch job worked, because I'm not going to fix, actually the drywall on our ceiling got wet and it started sinking down, and so I just pulled it down into a Rubbermaid tub before it fell on its own, and then I could try to figure out the leak, and I thought I had it, but then I didn't. So I'm not fixing that ceiling until I know that leak is fixed, because what would be the point for it to fall down again?
Yeah, well, hopefully it rains soon, because I'd like to get that looking good.
Yeah, and I just put out a bunch of rye seed the other day, actually, in our last video on our Hardworking Man channel. And when you put out rye seed like that, if it doesn't rain fairly quickly and get it germinating, what happens is the turkeys and birds find it, and my trail cam pictures are starting to be flocks of turkeys. So I am now, instead of planting a food plot, feeding turkeys. And that's not what I put that seed out there for. So,
yeah.
But we don't need the rain that's coming to Florida. Hopefully our daughter's out of there. Hopefully everything's okay and the storm breaks apart like some of them do, and it doesn't devastate the area, lives, businesses, like some of them have. So prayers for everybody down there.
Yeah,
prayers for everybody that's still, I guess, dealing with the last one. And hopefully this one isn't what they say it's going to be, because they're saying it's looking like it's going to be really bad. So,
well, yeah, hopefully if you're in the path, you have somewhere to go to get
out of there. Do not stay there and hope it's not going to be bad. Get out of there and hope it's not going to be bad.
Yeah, because once you realize it's bad, it's too late. And that's what we told our daughter. We're like, I mean, it could be nothing, but once it starts flooding, you're screwed. You have nothing else to do.
And then, you put more people's lives in danger having to try to come and get you out.
So if you can get out and be safe.
But that's about it for this episode. We have the hurricanes, Paul Bunyan Show, people hitting people and running. Like, come on, man. Don't do that. Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy. If you were at the Paul Bunyan Show and you have any fun experiences that you had happen to you to share, comment down below. I'd love to hear other people's experience because I think ours is just very different from people just go to experience the show.
And if you wanted to go or were thinking about going and couldn't make it this year or didn't go this year, I highly recommend getting there next year. This is the biggest show as far as YouTubers and hanging out and having a good time goes that we've ever been to. And everyone that goes there that we talk to that's been to other shows, everyone says the same thing. This is the show to go to if you can only go to one.
Yes.
So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening, guys, and have a great night.
Have a great week.
Have a great year.
We'll see you next week. That's how you say have a great week. Have a great year. We'll see you next year.
Bye.